Right, Infernal Blessings. We are back with another video. Alright, before I begin, just run through a couple quick announcements. First and foremost, obviously the most important thing on the agenda currently at the moment is the 7th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. Alright, that is going down, as they say, October 31st to November 3rd. Again, it's a 4-day event. We're going to kick it off on Halloween night with a graveside ritual. Looking forward to that. After the graveside ritual to open the conference, we will be doing a brief meet and greet, a coffee and donut meet and greet at a great donut spot down here. You can Google it, Dandy Donuts. Some of the most amazing donuts you'll ever taste. And that'll kick us off with our meet and greet and opening the conference. Then Friday and Saturday from 9 to 4 p.m. classes, presentations, workshops. That'll take place both days, Friday to Saturday, 9 to 4 p.m. And then, both nights on Friday and Saturday evening, we will have a group ritual followed by a group dinner. And then on Sunday, noon to 4 p.m., I will be doing a question and answer session to close out the conference. All right. You can attend two ways, live and in person, which we encourage and suggest. Be your best experience to get together with other occult practitioners and doing the ritual work and getting together and fellowshipping, etc. Or you can attend virtually. All right. So if you're interested in attending, that's October 31st to November 3rd right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Shoot me an email and I will be more than happy to send you the information on how you can attend the conference, okay? Also, if you're interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, okay, I offer various different types of readings, Clepothic demonic readings, Santa Muerte readings, Egyptian oracle readings, shadow work readings, which is, shadow work reading is always a great place when you're looking for a sense of purpose, direction. What should I be doing? What kind of ritual work should I be working with right now, etc. That is always a good thing to do because, as you know, I'm big on, and I will keep promoting this and slamming this home nonstop. Your ritual work should always be designed first and foremost for your needs before your wants. Doesn't mean you can't work for your wants, your desires. That's part of this path. But I find that people work too much on their wants first before their needs. That's a good reading for that. Deity readings to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you. Or maybe you're just interested in a spiritual consultation. You have a bunch of questions you want to ask me about the path, the occult, or maybe you want to focus on something specific. Either way, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Please include in your email your full weekly availability and the time zone you are in, and we will set up a day and time that works for both of us. Also, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos Patreon page if you want to take the classes that I offer. I'm doing a bunch of classes, a lot of classes going on right now, constant new classes being added regularly on a monthly basis. The best way to get in on the classes is go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Beniti, Baniti. Tier 3, that's the tier that gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, including the group ritual we do together as a family at the end of the month. And keep in mind, from the day you join, you don't just get access from that day moving forward, you get access to everything in the archive going back 5 years now, just about 5 years. All right, you get access to all that ritual work, class work, source material, etc. Trust me, it's a lot. You won't have enough to do it, and it'll take you years to get all the work done in there. And that's no exaggeration. If you want to see exactly what type of classes that are ongoing right now, we got a new class being added next month. The Egyptian Hecker / or Hermetic Alchemy class. I haven't decided what I want to call it yet. That'll be added next month for the month of October. But you can go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Beniti, Baniti. And when you go to the page, just click the collections. You'll see something that says collections, and it has every class ongoing. It's labeled and it's archived in numerical order. So that'll give you an idea of exactly what kind of ongoing classes there are. All right. Also, don't forget to check out the social media pages, Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 2 words on Facebook, and primordialchaos3.com on TikTok. That's the best way to stay up on the latest happenings, classes, events, announcements. And I also put it in the community section here in the YouTube page. So you'll always see what's going on if you stay abreast on those platforms. So subscribe to those platforms, follow me on those platforms, and that'll keep you abreast of pretty much everything that I'm doing and what's going on. All right, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. The direct link to my to the podcast, my contact email address, the social media page links, and the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All of those links are in the description box of this video that you are watching right now. All right, so you see the title, Opening the Gates of Hell. What does that mean? The average person's going to see that title, especially if you're not on the occult and the left-hand path, you're going to get spooked out by it. That sounds evil. That can't be good. This, that, and the third. Well, from an occult left-hand path perspective, it's actually a great thing for those that don't understand it. So I was doing some studying today, and I came across a bunch of, I like Friedrich Nietzsche, as far as like a philosopher, and some of the things that he said. Well, I was doing some studying earlier today, and some things came to mind. I was studying some stuff on set, and it just sparked a bunch of things within me. And I was reading something about opening the gates of hell, opening gateways, quote unquote, to hell, which is a term in certain systems of opening yourself up to higher states of consciousness. But the thing that stood out to me, incorporated in some of the stuff I was looking at and bouncing back and forth between different materials and looking at some of Nietzsche's comments, some things that were commented, right? This is a path about action. That's what stood out to me when I was reading today. And I like that term because it's so true. It's a path about taking action. So if you're not willing to put into work and motion the action that's needed to bring about the change, then nothing will happen for you on this path. So when you're trying to open what we call in this aspect, opening the gates of hell, the black flame of consciousness, or the flames, quote unquote, of enlightenment, right? You're basically willingly opening up yourself, right, to a whole new paradigm, a whole new level of consciousness and understanding. And in that, though, it's going to be, as we say, a burning. And as we know with the burning process, there's great change, right? As we know, fire can burn and fire can heal and purify. And that's why it is such a powerful element, and especially when we look at the four major elements, especially if you work ancestral altars, and this is why the four major elements, earth, wind, fire, water, right? They all coincide, but fire is a unique element because, again, it can burn and it can purify and heal. So when one willingly comes on this path and is opening the gateways or the pathways to what we call this state of hell, right? You're opening yourself up to a state of consciousness that, as I've said a million times before, brings about great change, right? Now, I think sometimes for some, where it goes wrong for them is, as I've mentioned before over the years, they underestimate the magnitude of the change, okay? And this is why you will hear people say, be careful, when you step into this spectrum and doing this type of work, because you are opening yourself up to energy. Now, for those that have been on this path, the left-hand path and the occult path has evolved a lot over the last 20 years or so, or more. Gone are the days where, back in the days, it was just about traditional Satanism and, LaVey and the Church of Satan. And that is a very, and I say this with all due respect, because I will say this, the Church of Satan has evolved in their ideology, and the knowledge that they are now teaching it's not, no more stuck in that era in the 60s of what LaVey was teaching. Now, at that time, it was suitable. Don't get me wrong, right? When LaVey came on the scene with the Satanic Bible and the teachings of the Satanic Church, at that time, from 1966 moving forward, as you see, it focused a lot on, responding to many of the falsehoods of Catholicism / Christianity, almost an anti thesis to Christianity and Catholicism. So at that time, it served its purpose. Now, there's a lot of people, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, that still kind of hold on to that stuff. A very superficial brand of occult left-hand path, or even Satanism. And I'm not judging. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But as I've said before, anything that doesn't evolve or change, it becomes dead. And just like in a lot of religions, like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, their practitioners don't evolve and change their way of thinking. Well, that exists on the occult and the left-hand path too. We have some that just are not evolving, right? They still stay into a superficial brand of the left-hand path of the occult, right? So it studying today made me realize, right, just like other spiritual systems, we have many different aspects of it, some good, some bad. But not one defines it all as a whole. And that's what we have to understand, right? And I don't care if it's the occult left-hand path or any other system. Anybody or any organization, group, or spiritual system that claims to have the undiluted lock on truth and that their methodology is the only correct way and everybody else is wrong, stay far away from that, okay? Because that is nothing but another brand of religion. Because if you subscribe to that and accept and embrace that, it's going to restrict you in your personal growth. And remember, this path is about liberation, spiritual liberation, spiritual freedom, spiritual sovereignty, right? Having the ability to choose and lay out and design your own path of self-mastery that works for you. That is the number one positive of being on the path of self-mastery, aka the occult, the left-hand path. You're not restricted to any specific system. As I said before, look, I can get up tomorrow, I might be in the mood to work some Egyptian Heka. I can get up the next day, maybe I want to work with the clip pop today. I can get up the next day, maybe I want to work some African witchcraft and sorcery. I might get up 2 days later after that, I want to work draconian magic today. Next day, I might want to work with the Necronomicon, whatever. That's what makes this path different from every other path. You don't have to stay in a dogma or a paradigm or within a certain structure. And a lot of paths that claim that exists, it really doesn't. It gives you the illusion that you have a choice, but you really don't. You have the choices that are laid out in front of you to choose from, not your own choice that you decide solely to choose from. So we have to be aware of that, right? There is still a lot of superficial bullshit out there, and there's a lot of great stuff out there too, don't get me wrong, right? But we're intelligent enough to decipher between the legitimate stuff and the bullshit, right? But having said that, even though that was a little sidebar from what I was talking about, it was connected. But all this came to mind today as I was sitting there studying, doing a little meditation, and I said to myself, and I was studying some stuff on set today, and this is kind of the things I was tapping into in that study, that I kept getting the message, man. If you don't bring about action for the change, it's pointless. Okay? And if you're not willing, and I want to be clear how I word this because this can get misconstrued, if you're not willing to sacrifice, nothing will change for you. And when I'm talking about willing to sacrifice, I'm not talking about in a in a ridiculous religious ridiculous type of way. See, some people claim they want change. Some people claim they want to manifest things. But I keep telling you, when you work on this path, one of the things it's going to do is show you the change, or it's going to bring to you the change that needs to happen. And it's going to show you in detail what you need to do. And where, if you reject that change and you remain stagnated and don't act upon that change, that's when things go a little haywire. See, sometimes people come to the reality that, unfortunately, for an example, they may be struggling to figure out what's holding them back, right? And as I've always told people, especially in your shadow work, evaluate your immediate surroundings, person, places, and things. And sometimes the cold, hard truth, I've seen this happen a bunch of times over the years. Sometimes one of the most forms of dead weight and things that's holding you back, unfortunately, could be the person you share in your bed with. That's a hard pill for some people to swallow. Okay, as I said before, if you're a woman and you got a man that's a straight up bum, that's not doing what a man's supposed to be doing, a provider, not that a woman's not supposed to contribute to that, but the man should be the provider. He should be doing the best he can, putting in that work to maintain what it is he has to do to maintain that family. But the thing that trips me out, you got women that get with these grown-ass men that ain't got shit to offer. They sit at home all day, they're playing PlayStation, not looking for a job or doing anything productive with themselves, and then they want to cry wolf. Man, my life is a hot mess. So there's some insecurity there you're holding on to that you can't release that individual. Sometimes the problem's right in front of our face, we can't see it. And it's vice versa. If you're a man and you just got a gold digger woman that's just spending money and she don't want to contribute nothing to the relationship and you holding on to it, and that's on you, right? You got to carry out the action that's going to bring about the change. So there could be a multitude of reasons why you keep people like that in your life. Either you're insecure, you don't want to be alone, or you got some other serious psychological issues going on upstairs. Okay? That's just something that is self-inflicted, that the individual is bringing upon themselves and refusing, to bring about the change. And this is what I was talking about a couple of minutes ago. Sometimes people underestimate the magnitude of the change that comes with opening these gates of hell. Because you're unleashing forces and spiritual powers that go to work, right? This is nothing that you've been accustomed to before at all, okay? I just want to make that clear. It's nothing you haven't been accustomed to previously. This is going to be new, especially if you're a newer practitioner on this path, okay? It's definitely going to be different, if that's the the correct word I can use to describe what I'm referring to. And people sometimes get lost in the shuffle with this, no matter how many times you say it. Okay? So we got to really reflect and think what we're doing on this path, why we're doing it, and is this the thing we should be doing in the moment? And that's what I mean, like I say in the beginning of the video when I'm talking about readings. Are you designing your ritual work first and foremost for your needs before your wants? We got to ask ourselves these things. What is it? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And what are we trying to accomplish? I told you we should never be on this path. We should always have goals set for ourselves. As I've told you guys before, I know some people on this path for bullshit reasons. Some people just want to be here because they think it's about wearing black robes and carrying a magic wand and casting spells and midnight and vampiric magic and all. And they kind of get mesmerized by that. Look, to a degree, I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. But when that's your main reason why you're here, there's a lot wrong with that. Okay? That's my point. Okay? Some people are here for the wrong reasons. Okay? So ask yourself, why are you here? What are your goals? And what is your event? What is your long-term outcome? Where do you see yourself? Because I know I came on this path because I saw this. In everything I've studied spiritually up until this point, this spoke to me personally, and it said, look, I've been looking for something for years where I don't have to be confined to some dogma. And I'm going back years though, but it spoke to me clearly. I felt it. It permeated in every aspect of my inner being. It felt right because I felt like chains of bondage were released from me. I felt like anything that had a hold on me spiritually that was holding me down, it was released. And I realized that even when I was in a lot of those right-hand path philosophies going years back, there was always a rebellious side of my nature that would always speak to me when I recognized the bullshit. And at that time, being younger and dumber and not knowing or being as wise in that moment at that time, I would, repress it or find excuses, say, oh, well, you know what, that's just how it is. No, and I would look at this false narrative and I get sucked right back in. Okay? Not with this. And as I said before, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody tells you. If you're on this path and you go back or you leave or you regress, anything you go back to, regress to, or leave to go back to is a step back. Okay? There's nothing that supersedes this path, because when it's a path of self-mastery and you're laying out the design, you're laying out the groundwork, you're laying out your own path and how you're going to travel that path. There's nothing greater than that when it comes to spirituality. And remember, magic is the science of understanding one's self, conditions, and situations and environment. That's what magic really is. Not some hocus pocus, Harry Potter, poof, puff the magic fucking dragon, right? Or that shit you see on the internet and movies. That's entertainment. This is real life shit. This is work. This is understanding how to master these spiritual sciences so you can become the best that you can be. Okay? Kind of like the army, the military. Become the best that you could be. Right? This is real shit. Okay? And I want to speak to those who might see things on the outside, newer people, who might be sparked or motivated or interested in working black magic or the left-hand path or the occult. Right? I've always been a practitioner. I'm no filter, no bullshit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it with a lot of fluff. For those that have been following my channel for a while, I'm straight, no chases. I'm straight to the point, no bullshit. Because to me, that's the best way, in my opinion. I mean, I work for everybody, but that's the best way to be. Right? I've never promoted this path from a fictitious fairy tale position. And unfortunately, there's a lot of shit out there that does. And it's misleading. And sometimes people will come on this path thinking, oh, they're going to become so powerful, wealthy, and rich, and they're going to have all the things they want. Look, as I said before, I wish it was that easy. I really do. If it was that easy, there would be no need to have discussions, classes, we wouldn't have to do any ritual work if it was that easy. This shit is work. Any good practitioner that have been on this path for a while that is successful, and I consider myself one of those. I consider myself very successful. I consider myself, if you want to use the term like religious folks use, blessed. Right? I've put in the work and I've seen the results, and I can't complain. I live a good life. I'm not saying I'm a fucking billionaire, that I ain't got problems, but I'm good. But I'm also humble and understand just as quick as you can get it is just as quick as it could be taken away if you let your guard down, if you become lazy, if you slip up, if you do something stupid, if you slack up in your work, you're not consistent. Then I know it can go back to being the way it was before. And I used my past life situations that were not positive. I used them as fuels of motivation. That's also the process of opening up the gates of hell. Because when you open up the gates of hell, you're going to be motivated by the shit you fucked up with in the past, by the poor decisions you made in the past, by certain situations you voluntarily put yourself in, knowingly or unknowingly. And it's going to be fire or fuel for motivation for you to master yourself. That's part of the great change. Part of that great change of opening those gates of hell is cutting certain ties with individuals, persons, also things or places, maybe certain behaviors, characteristic flaws or character flaws, right? And people, the people part is a huge stumbling block for a lot of people on this path. Some people can just not get rid of toxic people in their life. They're a magnet for toxic people. And as I've said, me now, I mean, it's a little different. I'm speaking from an individual, my age, 53 years old. I'm too old to want to force, one, anybody to be in my life. I couldn't give a shit. Two, I don't have time for fucked up people with negative, stagnated energy, or people who just ain't right in the mind, that don't even know what they want or what they're doing or what their goals are, or as I say, they're fence straddlers. One day they're this. These are the most dangerous, toxic people. One day they're, they're constantly changing hats of what they are. One day you see them, they're fucking Buddhist. The next day they're Muslim. The next day you see them, they're Kemetic. The next day you see them, the next time you run into them, they're into African traditional religions. The next time you see them, they're left-hand path. They don't even know what the fuck they are, right? They're trying to figure it out until they find something that makes them feel safe and secure. And usually the thing that makes you feel safe and secure, I hate to say this, that's usually not the place for you. It's a crutch to lean on. It's to fill an insecurity and a fear that you could not fill. Usually when somebody was on this path and regresses back, and it's a normal thing. But 9 out of 10 times, usually something that makes you feel comfortable and safe or complacent is usually not the thing for you. Why am I saying that? Because it's a thing that's limited in spiritual growth. Okay? The thing about this path is, man, there's constant change. There's new shit on a regular basis. There's stuff you always got to be ready and prepared for. There's always things that need to be done, challenges that need to be faced, obstacles that you have to overcome personally within your life. It's the way it is. Okay? It's the way it is. So, when you open those gates of hell, and that fire starts to burn, and that fire starts to burn away all of those things that serve you no purpose, that are toxic to your spiritual growth, and then the change starts to manifest, you could either do one or two things. You could either embrace that change, you can go into action, and you take the action that's needed to bring about that change, or you can ignore it. You can sweep it aside, brush it aside, pretend it doesn't exist, and then that persistence, that burning becomes even stronger. And with that resistance, you can resist it, and that resistance of that burning becomes stronger and stronger. And as I said before, with that resistance comes stronger persistence. That which is plaguing you, that which is toxic to you, that which is blocking your spiritual path for growth, that which is creating obstructions and issues in your life becomes even stronger. Okay? The answer isn't sweeping it under the rug or just trying to think you're going to pray it away or just brush it away or block it out. That's not the answer. That's not the solution. Okay? Sometimes people find that out the hard way. So long story short, when you open those gates of hell, if you are a practitioner on this path, be ready. Take the action that's needed so you can master yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and oh yes, financially. All right? Other than that, that's all I got for you. Again, if you need to reach out to me, for a spiritual reading, a consultation. My contact email is in the description box. So in the description box of this video, you will find, again, my contact email address. You will find direct links to the social media pages. You will find a direct link to the Primordial Chaos podcast. You will also find the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. And any other information you need to reach out to me, all of that is in the description box of this video you're watching right now. That's going to do it for me. Infernal blessings, and we'll talk soon.